Hey, Nate.
Hey.
Guess what?
I have no fucking clue.
Episode 51. Halfway to 100. I'm gonna say
we were already.
no. We're on our
100.
second half of the journey. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm going to be saying the episode at the beginning of every episode from here on out
Why?
because I always forget, and I don't want to forget.
You always forget what?
What episode we're on.
So
Like when we were on 50, I forgot until you brought it up, and I feel like 50 is a big milestone. You know?
but 51 isn't.
Well, I won't remember. I won't know when we're at 100 unless I say it every time. I'm a forgetful
That's
man.
dumb.
Speaking of being forgetful. Speaking of being forgetful.
I had to get serious.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? I saw that.
Are you happy now?
I saw that. For those of you not paying attention or watching this on YouTube, he just took the camera off of me and put it on him.
It was just
I
a
see how
natural.
it
I just did it wide.
I see how it is. Speaking of forgetful, I got a package in the mail, and I legitimately thought for a second that somebody shipped me a bomb. Have you ever been sent something and you have no idea what it is while you're opening it, but it gets more suspicious the deeper you go?
No.
No?
Because when I just order stuff, I expect it. And then, I guess, letters. I've never opened an envelope and said, maybe a bomb.
So I opened, it was like a FedEx package, and on the back it said like something about emergency mail, and I was like, I didn't order.
I didn't emergencies any mail.
And then I was like, okay, well, where is this from? And it was some like random city in China, I think. And I was like, I don't know what this, like, where this is. Like, where did I order something?
So you got
a lot of
something
things
from
are
China and you instantly thought bomb? Just putting all the facts together here.
I was going to give this a precursor of just because, like, I was going to say because it's from somewhere else, because I knew you were going to go there. But I was like, you know what? No. Hopefully Nate will just give me something. But you always corner me into these places.
The implication was that foreigners send bombs.
That was not the implication. My implication was I don't remember ordering anything from China, so it was adding to the mystery. If I got a random shipping address or whatever, I can't speak, man.
From somewhere white, you would have probably thought it would have been fine.
If it was from somewhere like, if I got something that was like, from, I'm trying to think of Iowa.
Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, I'd be like, what is this? Like, I have no idea what this is.
But since it was from China, you were like, bomb?
No. So first I was like, what is this? Then I opened it, and I was like, I don't remember getting anything from China. I open it, and obviously there's like, I guess not obviously, but it was wrapped in some kind of cushiony stuff, and it was like this big, like could fit like right in my two palms, right? Could hold it in two hands.
So it's a coconut?
No, it was kind of elongated. And all I could see was like white foam wrapped around it. Then outside of that was like packing tape, but just a ton of packing tape.
Okay.
Like a lot. And that was it. It was just like a ball of packaging foam and then packing tape wrapped around it numerous times. Very thick.
It was just vaguely ball-shaped.
It was like elongated.
Okay, so it's kind of like an oval, so
Yeah,
not
yeah,
bomb-shaped.
yeah.
So what?
I don't know what bombs look like.
Okay, but I was thinking of like the cartoon version of bombs, where it's like a big, like a cannonball, basically with like a fuse sticking out of it.
Like Super Mario bombs.
Yes.
Well, you know, bombs aren't shaped like that, right? Like usually.
I guess bombs don't really have a shape inadvertently because they don't they can come in any form or size they're out there.
Do bombs even look like how they look in Super Mario at all ever?
I guess because
I've only seen with little timers and a bunch of wires.
Cannonballs didn't actually explode. I mean, maybe at one point they did, but for the most part, they were just big pieces of metal.
I'm not talking about a cannonball.
But that's what they look like.
Bomb.
No, I don't think they're ever like bombs that look like that.
Why we picture bombs as round black balls with a burning wick is from Jerry on the Bomb. The 1920 popular newspaper comic strip Jerry on the Bomb. I don't think bombs actually look like this.
Yeah, because it's a cannonball. That's what it looks like, with a wick sticking out of it, implying that it explodes. But cannonballs didn't explode.
Yeah, but I didn't think that it was trying to relate it to a cannonball.
It looks like a cannonball. What do you mean?
Just like a ball, dude. Cannonballs just look like balls.
It's a big black metal ball. That's a cannonball. What else would that be?
Sure. I don't know. It's just a ball. Why does it have to? I mean, I get how you can relate that. I'm not saying
That's
it's
why
absurd.
people would think that, yeah.
But still, I mean,
looking at that, you never thought, cannonball, maybe?
Yeah, but it has like the little flat thing on top and then the wick.
Obviously, it's been altered a little bit, but that's the
Right,
that's the
so-
only other thing that looks like that.
But my point is, I've never seen it shot out of a cannon. These kind of, regardless.
Yeah.
I got this mysteriously shaped thing, and I was like, "What is this?" And at first, I'm like, "This is obviously strange." And then my first instinct is, someone's trying to kill me.
Why did you instantly think it was a bomb? Nothing about that sounds bombish.
That's just the first place my mind goes to when it's like I'm being sent a random package
From China.
then I have no idea what it is I get worried. What would you think if you got a random package and it was just something like I would feel like it's something dangerous or something like
Why?
suspicious.
What? Honestly, that almost implies a level of arrogance on your part. Like, I'm important enough to be killed.
No. I just
Because I would think, no one's trying to kill me. No
if
one knows
anything,
who
it
I am.
implies ignorance because.
Well, that too, yeah. But
But I got a random like shaped item that I couldn't even see what it was because wrapped in so much foam and packing tape. What would you think that is? If you were expecting nothing.
Probably someone sent it to the wrong address.
Nah.
So what was it? Let's
was-
kill the suspense here.
I was scared. Oh, it was just a little like elongated black piece of plastic and a valve for my air track.
Oh yeah, because you've been trying to get that.
Because I ordered
replaced,
a new one,
yeah.
and they manufactured
Right.
in China. So
Makes sense.
it was a scary moment, though.
Well,
You want to know how ridiculous this was?
How did you open it? Did you do it with like pliers or something?
I
like
filmed it
Did you really?
because I was like, I want to know what this
If it was
is.
gonna be okay, hold on.
And yes, I grabbed it and took a knife and was like slowly cutting away at the tape, kind of afraid. I can show you the video. You want to see it?
No. Because this video doesn't make any sense. Because either two things happened, and one of them did. You blew up, and so did the footage. Or it was nothing interesting, which is the
Gotcha.
second thing. So what was the point of making the video?
Because if I blew up, you got evidence, boy.
No, you wouldn't. Because you would be blown up.
The phone wouldn't have been blown
Why
up.
not? Did you put it 20 feet away?
Maybe it was just a small firecracker, so it blew up my hands. And they're like, "What happened?" I go, "Well, someone sent
What
me a
would be
bomb."
the point
So
of
somebody
that?
sent me a bomb
Someone
in the mail.
hates your hands?
So somebody sent me a bomb in the mail, and I opened it. My hands blew up. Everyone would be like, "I don't believe you." I'd be like, "Well, look at this," as I fumble around with my nubs to show them my phone.
So someone hates you enough to send you a bomb, but not enough to kill you, just to mutilate your fingers? That's never happened.
It's an amateur bomb maker.
Never
I mean,
happened.
I might try to make a bomb.
So
in
you have an enemy who's an amateur bomb maker?
it. I'd like to think it makes life more interesting.
Again, I think that's a level of arrogance on you.
No, I
You
just like
think you're important enough to piss off an amateur bomb maker. A reasonable person would not assume that they have enough clout to piss off anybody who knows how to make, even on an amateur scale, bombs.
I mean, I can make an amateur bomb.
Oh, again, the arrogance. Now you think you can make amateur bombs.
You can make an amateur bomb.
What's the first thing that goes into making a bomb?
I buy some fireworks, bro.
No. Styrofoam, gasoline oil, and no, I'm just kidding. That is how
There
you
was
make napalm.
styrofoam.
Don't do that.
So, yeah, I think it's just more interesting to think that way because, you know, I like to think that I'm on this journey of becoming a superhero. That is my life goal. It's the only reason I do Ninja
Again,
is because
wow.
people are swinging around doing
Hold
crazy
yourself
stuff.
in a very high regard.
And then, no, I'm not a superhero. I'm on, it's a
You're
journey.
on track to be one.
I
You think that's possible for yourself.
Yeah, it's fun. You got to set a fun journey for yourself, you know?
You'll never achieve that goal. It's impossible.
No. Batman's a superhero.
He's not real.
But Batman-esque could be real.
There is actually a guy in like Seattle, or at least was, that was like Batman-esque, but it wasn't all that cool actually in real life.
But if someone's sending you bombs, it's your arch nemesis. I'm just trying to find an arch nemesis. So if anybody wants to wait, no, don't send
Yeah,
me. No,
bad
that's not what I
thought.
meant. I meant if anybody wants to be my fake, just for fun arch nemesis, we could throw out some banter. This is going very bad.
Jesus.
This is going very bad.
I feel like somehow in this process we have pissed off an amateur bomb maker.
I feel like you did more than I did because you named a lot more
I
ingredients.
assume highly of the amateur bomb maker that it's hard to do and that people they hate, they're very selective about that because honestly, if you're sending a bomb in the mail, you're gonna get away with that like once. It's pretty easy to get caught doing that. So,
especially if you don't. I'm not encouraging you to send bombs. If you ever send a bomb to somebody, don't put a return address.
Yeah, be smart about it. Okay, bomb guys.
Oh, moving on. You know what though? The other thing that happened to my day today, when I got up, not just receiving a mysterious package, was the lack of Pop-Tarts that I received.
Wow.
That's probably one of the worst things in the world is when you think you have something to eat and then you go and get it and it's not there.
Just like something to eat in general, like, oh boy, I thought I had something to eat, now I'm going to go hungry? Or
No,
just
like specific.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're like, man, can't wait to go
so
home.
That's the worst thing in the world.
And eat my good old cheesecake when I went to Cheesecake Factory last night and I got leftover cheesecake and I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat my cheesecake.
I've never been to Cheesecake Factory.
And then you go home and you ain't got no cheesecake because somebody else ate your cheesecake. Or you ate it and you forgot because you're a piece of garbage.
That would be you.
That's what happened on Pop-Tarts. I ate my last Pop-Tart yesterday and I thought I had more and I was very upset when I looked longingly into that vast openness of the cardboard box.
Yeah. That's also on you for not even throwing away the box either.
Yeah. That is kind of the worst thing, though.
Do you want to talk about our short skit Pop-Tart? Since we're on this subject.
Moving on. Into
You know what kind of sucks about, like, I feel like skit humor on YouTube was something that, like, you and I grew up, like, watching when we were younger. And now it's been so bastardized by, like, even Vine, but especially now TikTok and, like, all the, even Instagram. It's like the short form, really cheesy, like, kind of skit stuff is that, like, no one does it anymore, legit, because it's just, like, this weird, kind of, it has a stigma around it of, like,
I think you can still get some good. Yeah,
because like we grew up with like guys who did it like maybe not super high budget, but at least like in clever ways. Not like now it's like relatable humor. Like, oh, when your girl like wouldn't show you her phone because she's texting another dude, and it's like we grew up on like Olin Rogers shit where it's like, what if a cat could send you through time? Like something cool opposed to opposed to like bullshit.
Yeah, if you want some good skit humor, either Olin Rogers or Julian Smith. Julian Smith is my guy.
I was thinking of, but skit humor is dead.
Maybe we can bring that to our YouTube channel.
We tried
skit humor,
but again,
no, our YouTube channel. We haven't tried.
Oh wow, on the That's Movies, brother.
Yeah, that's skits, brother. Wait, you don't believe in your ability to write a good skit?
Probably not. No.
Any good writers out there? Send me some writing things in the mail, not a bomb.
You write it. I'll just critique it.
Don't send me bombs. Let's jump into some movie things. So let's get this straight. Okay. Usually on this episode, this is our midweek episode, which is our series episodes. We just got done talking about Back to the Future. And usually we would kind of recap it a little bit, and we usually go live on these episodes and try to talk to people about whether it's what we've been recently talking about or if they have any questions about movies and stuff. We've decided to take a step back from the live. We want to go live on YouTube because we think that's the best platform to do that, and we are trying to kind of build that up before we jump back into doing lives. And we are restructuring that episode or this episode a little bit because usually at the end of our series on that final movie episode, we kind of talk about the whole series and kind of give it a rating, which will now be the midweek. Each episode is going to be about its own movie. Then that last week of talking about the series, before we jump into the next one, we will wrap up the series as a whole, rate it, and we want to have guests on this episode where we can talk about the entire series, someone that's really passionate about the series. We want to have, throughout on any episode, but this one specifically so they don't get pigeonholed into talking about one of the movies specifically. They can talk about the entire series with us. So hopefully we'll get more guests on these episodes. That's kind of how they're going to go from now on. Today, we're kind of updating you about that, and we've already talked about our ratings of Back to the Future. So we'll wrap it up a little bit, but we don't have as much to say. That's why this is kind of in a different episode where we're kind of transitioning. I have a little bit of movie news.
I'm going to wrap it up at 30 seconds.
The episode?
No,
What?
like Back to the Future as a whole.
Okay, so yeah, this episode I have a little bit of movie news, a couple other things we want to talk about, upcoming stuff with the podcast, which is kind of what we're talking about here, and yeah, just a little bit of update, shorter episode. It's gonna be good. So Back to the Future, we gave it a rating last week.
I think it was like overall, like as a whole, it was like 7.1 or something like that.
Something like that.
It might have been actually like a little higher than that.
It was our first series that we actually gave the same ratings for every movie.
Yeah.
It was, I think, 7.9 was...
Like
sorry,
5.
the first one was 8. The third one was 7.9.
Yes. And then the middle one was like 5.5.
Was it 5.5?
I think it was that low, yeah.
I think it was 6.5. Regardless, I don't know. Go back and listen to it if you want. But they were. It's a good series. I enjoy it. What did you want to say?
Yep. First one, great. Second one, disappointing. Third one, pretty much just as good as the first one.
Yeah. What something I want to say about this whole series that I didn't actually get a chance to say before was I like. It's super interesting that this entire series happens in a span of
4
week
years
and a half.
Oh, and in the
Similar to Lord of the Rings, as in what I was saying when we watched Lord of the Rings was I don't see a ton of series where they pick up right where they left off. It's very much like there's a time gap between.
Right.
So they have their own kind of and they still do have their own individual stories in like Lord of the Rings, but it's an overarching big story as well, where this seems like each movie is even more secluded on its own than like Lord of the Rings is not one overarching, but it does kind of have an overarching thing. If you think about it in a span of this happens in like 2 weeks or less,
Right.
which is kind of weird and crazy and cool because they pick up and show the end scene of the previous movie before they jump into the new one, which I like. I think it's
well,
cool.
in like Lord of the Rings, obviously they knew because it's based on the books, so they knew the whole stretch of how it's supposed to go.
Right.
But in this, it was very clear that they had the first one, didn't really have a full plan on making any more, and then once they got approved for a second one, they just said, okay, well, let's just do 2 and 3 and then end it there. So, but they kind of pigeonholed themselves by the ending in 1 and to forcing it. That was actually a big problem for 2. So while it's cool that that they kind of just pick up right into each other opposed to having some type of time gap, I feel like it was to a bit of its detriment, especially with 2. When they knew they were going to do it and plan for it, 3 worked. But the second one was really messy.
Well, again,
in partly
you can still
because
do that.
of that.
Just plan for it because the second and the third worked because we like the third.
Right. So I'm just saying that it was partly it wasn't a whole, like purely good aspect of it because it did hurt the second movie.
I mean, it did because they didn't plan for it, but if you plan for it, this concept can still be good.
Yeah, I do think it's usually. I almost want to say it's kind of harder to do that from like a writing perspective.
Yeah.
To have it to like keep the story be interesting like right after that, opposed to having time go by. I feel like that if you progress in time, you kind of give yourself more options because the characters are kind of expected to change and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And more options.
I just thought it was interesting because I didn't think about
sure.
it till later that I was like, yo, Marty went from like he saw 3 different versions of like his mom. You know what I mean? Or his relatives within a span of like a week.
Yeah.
He went from the 50s to the future to the present to the past
to the alternate present.
Like he had, I think, one night after the first movie that he slept in his own bed again, and then he woke up and went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine being...
No, he didn't even have a night.
He did.
When?
When he went back in the middle of the night and then fell asleep in his bed in his house, walked into his house, and he woke up at the end of the first one still, and then he walks throughout his house and everything's changed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
But, man, that guy's been through some stuff. He's been all over the place within a span of 2 weeks. And, yeah, I thought it was a good series. It was fun, and...
Oh, yeah, lots of fun.
I appreciate it as a cultural classic. You can see why it stands up to that.
Yep.
So that is our Back to the Future recap.
Yeah, I mean, we've only spent like 5.5 hours talking about it.
Yeah, if you want to hear more in depth, go listen to all the episodes in depth. Back to the Future. So as far as branching off into some more movie news, have you seen, this is kind of light movie news. Have you seen, if you're watching YouTube videos, the ad for the Vertical movie?
Nope.
No? Dude, you are out of the loop.
Wow.
How have you not seen this?
I tune out ads now. I don't even give them time of day. No, I don't know. I swear the only ad I get on YouTube now is NordVPN. Over and over and over and
I
over.
get this over and over and over. So there was a full movie shot by Damien Chazelle.
Of Whiplash and La La Land
Yep.
fame.
So I feel like I need to watch this. And it was shot vertically on an iPhone, the entire thing. So it's made to watch like that. And I've been seeing ads everywhere. And
Is this a Quibi thing?
I say that this is light movie news because I don't have an opinion on it as far as I haven't seen it. But I've seen shots of it because they show you.
I think I talked about it before. Soderbergh did the same thing. Well, I mean, similar. He shot a whole movie on iPhone. I never watched it, though.
I don't know. I think this is actually just a short film, but I could be wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is a short film. A vertical short film.
When did he shoot this? Because, I mean,
I have
been
no idea.
like months ago, right?
Shot on an iPhone 11 Pro. Dang. Named The Stunt Double. Ooh.
Wow.
What if there's jazz in it? The journey through cinema history is reimagined for the vertical screen. And Damien Chazelle's The Stunt Double.
Sounds like he's remaking other scenes of movies. Is that what it sounded like? Going through the history of cinema in the new format? Isn't that what you just said?
Yeah, but maybe not remaking scenes of movies. May be more of like a
homage type thing, like soft, like referring to them, but not completely remaking the scenes.
Or I'm just thinking, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's not necessarily remaking a scene from a movie, but it addresses something similar with stunts and stuff.
Well, I mean, but all the people while it's not historically accurate, all the people really existed in Once Upon a Time.
Right.
So that's more about Hollywood. I don't know if this was, I don't know.
So proving that cinema can be filmed in a vertical orientation too.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Actually, not all the people in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are real. I think they're based on real people. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a short film. iPhones have, they're especially the 11 Pro. I'm sure has an amazing camera. So it's not crazy. It's not the first time it's ever been done. I'd be curious to see how it is, if it's any good. I guess you can make anything on anything and be good. It's just all you're not limited by.
Yeah.
Really anymore, especially stuff like that, not using a totally professional thing. It's just, is the story good, or is it really just kind of a showpiece to say, hey, I filmed this in a weird way, look at it? Right. Or is it actually like a real story? I don't know. I
don't know either.
Yeah.
I definitely want to watch it, especially having to do with stunts. I think that's super cool. But it's interesting because I don't think he's trying to do this, obviously, to like, it's not going to change the way movie theaters show movies.
God, I hope not.
I believe it's more so like releasing it now that everyone's on their phone during quarantine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time to present something that's made for a phone. But it's also interesting because obviously things are made, like the reason that movie theaters don't have vertical screens is because things are made in a landscape orientation because our eyes are next to each other, not on top of each other.
Well, yeah.
We can see more wide than we can tall.
Yeah, where we evolved to look for predators on the ground, in and around us, in our peripheral and in front of us. We're not looking below or above us normally, and that's why we have this.
We're going to go that deep into it?
That's the real thing.
There are okay, I don't want to say no because there are some crazy looking sea creatures. 99.9% of animals have their eyes are next to each other.
But think about birds. Their
eyes are
next to each other, but they're on two different completely. Most like prey creatures, like instead if you're a predator, your eyes are in front of each other next to each other, and then if you're prey, they're on opposite sides of your head.
But you are. So but then you're still seeing more wide. You're seeing more to your left and right. Whereas birds do not just look for their prey on the ground. They look up and down because they might be in the sky and have to look down, but their eyes are not on top of each other.
It's not necessarily, they're not on top of each other. It's more of like they have a more wide view, like this way, where they can see more up and down.
I'm just debunking your.
But the thing is that like a bird and many prey animals can't see as well dead ahead as like we can.
But also birds, like if you're talking like pigeons, they're more on the side. But even eagles, they might be more on the side than ours. But they're pretty straightforward.
They're more on the side. They don't look like, but eagles are predators. It has to do with predator versus prey.
You said we're looking for our prey on the ground, left and right, not up and down.
Well,
I'm just debunking that part.
But yes, but I'm saying I'm not. Well, it's a real thing. I looked this up.
Look at that, dude.
Yes.
Look at that.
Like I said,
look at that.
He's a predator. But again, I mean, look at his nose. That'd be like if our nose went all the way up our forehead and then
so their eyes are a little more spaced out, like I said, but they are more forward than they are on the sides. That has nothing. Your nose can be bigger. It just means he can't see past his nose. It has nothing to do with his eyes being on top of each other.
Most animals, like birds especially, are better at seeing up and down than we are. It's not like that they don't have to have an eye like under their chin and then on top of their head, like just so they can see perfectly up. But they can. I promise you, if you look through their view, they can see much more up and down.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they can.
They can more. They can see just more in their peripheral in general, just looking around them, but less dead ahead of them.
You just made it sound like it's more like black and white, like we've evolved so our eyes are next to each other, is what I got from that. Whereas most animals are next to each other.
No, I mean, like, again, it's a predator versus prey thing. If you're a predator,
no prey has eyes on top of each other.
No, I never said on top of each other. You said that. I never said that.
I was saying our eyes are next to each other, and we can see more vertically. I'm sorry, more horizontally. So that's why movie screens are not up and down.
Well,
because our eyes are not on top of each other. I said our eyes are on top of each other, and you said, yeah, we evolved.
Does anything have eyes on top of each other unless they have multiple eyes?
I just think it has. I'm not saying it doesn't have everything to do with, but I think it has less to do with what you're saying. I just like to try to debunk you, dude.
Okay, you. Whatever, man.
I stumped you. Don't have anything else to say.
No two-eyed creature has an eye on top and then below it.
Exactly. That's all I was saying. Our eyes are next to each other.
Well, why even bring it up?
Because I'm giving an example of why we see things in landscape, because our eyes are next to each other, so we see more left to right, which is why our screens are left to right.
Yeah, but
and you try to get all deep and say, because we're not birds.
If we were prey creatures, we'd have left and right screens out here opposed to ahead of us, because we wouldn't be able to see in front of us very well.
Right. I was more giving an example of like that our eyes are next to each other, so that's part of why we see this
anyway,
way.
Vertical screens are a bad idea. In fact, I mean, I guess for a short film, especially if it's only like 15 minutes, like, yeah, I guess I'll watch it in vertical. But for the most part, I don't want to watch anything in vertical.
Yeah, same.
Unless I'm not really actually watching it.
Same. All right,
so I don't really. Why does he?
What?
What? I mean, I get that you can, but it's like, it almost feels like he made a film worse on a technical end, just to do it.
Well, it's made for a phone that we hold like this.
Yeah, but if whenever you start watching something, you're gonna tilt it.
Right, agreed.
So why?
So because he's trying to do something different that's eye-catching. I don't think he's gonna do it forever, but just like, he can make film vertical and he can still make it look good, so people will hopefully come watch it to see if it really lives up to that.
Brain engages here, and I think instantly, oh, he did it weird so that it would get attention.
Yeah.
But that's not.
Well,
I think it's
a little bit of both. I think it's obviously
he made a movie technically worse to get attention.
And I think it's curiosity too. I think it's always fun to try something different, even if somebody thinks it's going to be worse, and then you can kind of make that decision on your own. I think 90% of people will say, yeah, it's definitely worse to have it vertical.
I guess the other, I could say that the counterpoint, because I might be called hypocrite, because, like, for example, The Lighthouse was filmed in you could argue a worse fashion, but
yes.
it had an actual purpose for doing it that way. It was part of the tone and like the feel of the movie was for it to be in that weird boxy aspect ratio and the black and white and everything. Even though those are technical regressions for film, but so I guess if you could point to an artistic reason as to why you would make the vertical choice, then I'd be okay with it, but I just don't know it. So right now, if it's just for attention, then I'm kind of like, well, really, dude?
I think if you're doing something new and different in a way like that, I think you can say that it's artistic if you're trying to make something the best it can be and prove,
quote unquote. Because if I just made a shitty camera, not an old camera,
again,
just a shittier camera, and then filmed a movie in that, it would be different. But like, what would be the point? It's just a shitty camera.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's necessarily better because I haven't seen it, and I'm saying it probably isn't going to be necessarily better. But again, it's again, at least on what I was reading, to prove that you can also film vertically, and it could still be applaudable. You know what I mean? Like, it could still be good, still be entertaining to watch. It's not just complete garbage just because it's vertical.
Yeah, but you're starting at like you're giving. It's like an opposite of a head start. You're starting
but again,
behind.
like you said, they did that for The Lighthouse,
right? But for an artistic reason, right? To make the movie feel claustrophobic and to set the tone of the time and like the weird and to help with the horror. And this, it very well could have a good reason for being vertical. But if it's just to grab attention,
we're talking about this as two people that watch a lot of movies, like movies, can appreciate why they're made and kind of have a little understanding of why they're made. We know why they're made in the horizontal, perspective.
Well, it's just the best way to watch it.
But I guarantee you there are people that are going to be like, ooh, I scroll through Instagram and I keep my phone vertical and that's how phones are. This guy made a movie that way and that's kind of how I use my phone. this could be kind of cool and different. Maybe I'll like it this way better.
Maybe
There could be people thinking that way.
It feels a bit just like attention right now. But if there's a reason for it within the context of the movie itself, I'm totally fine.
I think it's kind of cool and fun to challenge yourself to do something different, even if it's regarded as in a lesser way, to kind of see and prove if it is or isn't in a lesser way.
I guess so. It's just kind of like
it doesn't. My point is, it's not to the point of like it makes me upset. That's so garbage. It's just it might not be as eye pleasing or eye catching, but it still isn't. It because it's not so like on the scale of why would you do that? That's complete garbage. Then I can still say the positives out of it oh, I'm curious. How did he do this? How does this actually change the way perspective is shown through the screen? I want to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Like
it's different
I'm thinking of is that if like Christopher Nolan announced, hey, I just made this new movie and I was the one behind the camera the whole time and I only used my left hand and now it's a little shakier. And I'm like, well, what the fuck was the point there? You challenged yourself and you made something, but what was the point?
This is very clearly because it's made to be viewed on an iPhone vertically. You know what I mean?
I guess, but again, iPhone, and this is pretty much everybody, we've agreed, just turn your screen and then boom.
Have you taken a poll?
Come on.
Like I said,
gotta be.
Like I said, I think there are people that would be
because it's just a better way of viewing it.
I think there are people that are intrigued by that premise, saying that they hold their phone like that most of the time. It would be very interesting to watch a movie in that perspective. I think it's almost a experience movie.
Yeah,
which
I think is weird because I mean it's just gonna be hard to have like two people on screen at one time.
And like this, like if you do a movie in VR. Yeah, there's more of a clear reason because you want to feel a part of it. Like that's part of the experience. But it is more
but that's an advancement,
right? But well, I would disagree. I don't think I would want to watch an entire movie in VR.
No.
I don't. I think that it would be better to view it on a 2D plane.
Right.
So it's part of an experience, and I think experiencing a movie vertically by somebody who is an experienced director and filmmaker. I'm curious.
Did he direct Whiplash, or did he just write both of those, Whiplash?
I think he directed both.
Okay, gotcha. I couldn't remember.
Anyways, enough about that. If you're curious enough to go check it out, then watch it.
He's a sellout.
I'm intrigued enough to go watch it. Apparently, he's one of my favorite directors because he has directed two of my favorite all-time movies.
One's really good, and the other one exists.
One's really good, and the other one is also really good. And guess what? Both got nominated for Best Picture.
Wow. So apparently if you get nominated, you're just instantly a good movie. Universally, you can't be criticized?
You have always held the Oscars in some sort of high regard.
Yeah.
And now
they make mistakes. I'm watching best winners. I'm telling you, I'm not loving them all, my guy.
I'm just gonna just know I'm gonna hold this over your head anytime you use the excuse that it has something to do with the Oscars.
Well, okay, you can use it as far as like part of your thing, but you can't just say, "Oh, you're wrong" because the Oscars voted for it. So.
No, I will say you can't use that as an example because you tore it down when I used it as an example.
Fair enough, but I'm just saying Shape of Water wasn't the best film of 2017 because that woman fucked a fish,
I'm using that because I figured that would give more credibility to you, but to be honest, there are some Oscar winners and nominees that I do not agree with.
Yeah,
but again, personal level at that point. So next up, as far as movie news, there are some movies coming out, some new movies coming out that we want to address.
We are very surprised because we just talked in the last one. We were like, everything's delayed, nothing's coming out. And now we're like, oh, shit. Tomorrow, actually today when this comes out, the new Mutants is coming out apparently?
Yes, but before we jump into the new movies that are coming to theaters, because I think we can talk about that for a minute on its own, I want to talk about a little more of how movies are coming out at this time, which is through streaming services.
Okay.
And talk a little bit about how we feel about that. Mulan. We talked about this a little bit. Apparently, from what I have, and I could be wrong.
Like a $30.
But from what I have read, is Mulan is coming to Disney Plus, but you have to pay $30 for it. How do you feel about having to pay for a movie?
Do you own it, or is it just a rental?
How do you? I don't know. I think it's just a rental. Wow. How do you feel about having to pay for a movie to watch it as a rental, if that is the case? And I will try to double check here. For $30, you're having to pay for this movie on a service you already pay for.
Yeah, okay, so this was kind of it's funny, I had this debate with a couple of people back like last year when Netflix was talking about releasing The Irishman in theaters, and people were kind of like, well, I already pay for Netflix. If I'm paying for it, Irishman should come out on Netflix and I should just be able to watch it there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that argument a lot. And so, yeah, there's kind of a similar thing here where obviously this is a bit more egregious because it's $30. So if you're just an individual, I mean, you can invite people over and I'll split the cost and end up being less than you would spend at a theater. But if you just wanted to watch the movie, you're stuck with that $30 price tag. So, I mean, I get it because there's kind of an expectation of streaming services where, especially with Disney Plus, we weren't really expecting to get brand new movies as soon as they came out. Like when we had Disney Plus last year and Rise of Skywalker came out, we weren't thinking, well, we should just get that on streaming service.
Right.
Like, why aren't we getting that instantly the day it comes out? Why do we have to wait? Well, because you're only paying $5.99 for a month, and it's only part of a larger thing. So obviously, to expect a brand new movie, especially a big budget one like this, to go instantly to a streaming service when it was the indication was for it to go, to theaters, it doesn't feel like you're reaching too much for that, right? Like that's kind of ridiculous. So I mean, I'm fine with Disney coming out with movies because that's what we signed up for originally. You know, when Disney Plus came out and we signed up for it, we knew that new Disney owned franchises would come out to theaters, and then a few months later they'll be on streaming on there for free. Well, for part of that package for no additional cost, I should say. Now, I mean, Netflix is the only one where it's kind of like we make movies and they all come out on the streaming service for no additional cost. We don't really send things apart from The Irishman was like at select theaters, when that first came out, but that was kind of a different deal. Not a widespread release, really. So, I mean, I think it's acceptable. Am I going to pay $30 to watch Mulan? Are we reviewing it on the podcast? Can I not? Because I don't really give shit about Mulan. I don't have any attachment to the children's cartoon, and because I didn't watch Disney stuff when I was growing up. Sorry. So this is just a movie to me. This is any other movie, but it costs $30. So I'm like,
right. So
I'll wait.
Doing a little bit of research here. It's gonna arrive on Disney Plus Premier Access. Watch with Premier Access for $29.99 before it's available to all Disney Plus subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's September 4th. So on September 4th, it's available for $30. You can watch it as many times as you want. So technically, I guess you buy it. That's what it seems. And then eventually it will come for Disney Plus for everybody at a certain day. So you're just getting it earlier, which obviously makes sense. It's like seeing it in a theater. I am okay with this because I think it is too much to ask just to get it for free for streaming, because the whole thing with streaming is it goes to theaters and then it comes to streaming.
Yep.
Unless it's a Disney Plus original or a Netflix original or a Hulu original. You know what I mean? You have to wait for it.
You know what would be interesting is if they keep the Premier Access going even past all coronavirus. So if they decide
they might.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that they might do all big Disney movies that come out, like all the Marvel stuff the day it comes out in theaters. You could also, if you wanted to, pay $30 and watch it at home.
Or they do it in theaters where they have because I've seen like with AMC theaters when they were like not going to show Universal movies or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They made a deal where like, okay, well, we'll show it in theaters for a week or something like that, and then you can have it on your thing. So maybe they'll have like show it for a week in theaters, then they have Premier Access for Disney Plus for the rest of the time it's in theaters, and then it comes to streaming.
I think Disney's probably in a stronger position to make negotiations than Universal is. From theaters, so they could get away with.
They're not refusing to show Disney movies, so they don't even have the issue.
No,
I'm just saying Disney would just do it because they think they might make more money.
AMC and Regal were originally saying we are not going to show Universal movies, and then they made a deal.
Right.
But now Disney, I don't think, even if they do this, I don't think AMC and Regal could like afford to say we're not going to show any Disney films, because that's way too much.
No, but I'm more saying this isn't. I don't think Disney is going to take it out of theaters. So I'm saying maybe they would.
Not take it out of theaters, but do both at the same time. Because I think that they'd rather, if people will pay it, they'd rather get the $30.
You think so?
Premiere. Yeah, because
it depends on how many.
If your average ticket cost in the U.S. is like probably like around $14, and then you split that almost in half with the theater itself, so you're looking at like let's say $8 per person, opposed to a flat out $30 straight up.
Yeah,
mean,
I guess it
seems-
depends on
I
how
mean,
much.
obviously, people are going to get together, so it's maybe not as many people, but I still think there's going to be a good amount of people who will probably pay $30 for the flat out, watch it by themselves, or
Yeah,
you
but
know, whatever.
then everybody on that Disney Plus gets on that account gets the movie as well. So if that's like 4 people on the account, then they might make more money. Just through
I don't
ticket
know
sales.
if Disney Plus. I guess we haven't noticed this, but if they do any kind of like restriction as far as how many people. Not, I mean, maybe because Netflix does restrictions based on how many people can be watching concurrently, but you can have pretty much as many devices, I think, as you want
on what?
on Netflix.
No. Different price points for different amounts of
No,
people.
but I'm saying that like you know, my Netflix account, there's a lot of people on it, like
Yeah.
a lot of different like devices affiliated with it, but only 2 people can be concurrently watching on Netflix at a time.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's
Unless
the
you buy a
restriction.
higher plan. You can buy a
Yeah,
higher
yeah,
plan
you
and
can
have
get
more
it to like
screens.
4 or whatever. But I'm saying, but I don't know about Disney Plus if they do it the same way.
Yeah, I don't
where,
know.
yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think it's okay that they're doing this during this time. I am just worried
That
I
they'll
don't
keep doing it and it'll hurt theaters even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah,
kind of
we've
gone
talked about
into
that.
our discussion. Yeah, that we've talked about as far as theaters being shafted.
All right, and then lastly here, some of the movies that are coming out that we are excited to see. Movie theaters are opening back up for new movies, apparently. Select theaters are showing Tenet, the new Christopher Nolan film that
which
we
I was
really want to see.
surprised about. So hopefully we can get to see that next week.
So yeah, these are
Do an
movies.
episode on it.
These are movies that we're hoping to do episodes on soon. Tenet, the New Mutants, and Bill and
The new
Ted's.
Bill and Ted's. Yeah, that one. I can't remember.
Which I
It
know
has a
nothing about.
full- you never saw the original?
No.
I think there are 2 original movies. I've vaguely seen them. They're not something I really care about, but they're. I honestly don't remember if I thought they were fun or not.
If I had to rank these movies, it would be Tenet number 1,
mm-hmm.
New Mutants number 2, Bill and Ted number 3.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious, I think.
I mean, you would think, but some people might think because I'm so superhero forward that it would be New Mutants. New Mutants has been
Nolan, you know.
New Mutants has been delayed for like 4 different times over the past few years.
Yeah.
And apparently
I
the
mean-
story has changed. They've had reshoots multiple times. They've had possibly, and I could be wrong about this, but I think they've even had new directors. I might be wrong on that, or writers, or
It's been
story
in production
change.
hell.
Like
Yeah.
like so much so that like I didn't even realize it was coming out soon.
Mhm.
Not just because of Corona stuff, but like I didn't know when the
They're
next
not
date was.
The thing, they're not advertising for it at all,
Yeah,
which is worrying.
Every time I hear New Mutants, I just one year out the other because I've heard it for the last like 3 years.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
I'm concerned about that movie. I'm tentative going into
I
it.
don't really know what it's going to be about. I'm not like promotion for it.
But
I just
Nolan-
don't know.
I don't dislike any Nolan movie that I've seen. And I've seen pretty much all of them.
Trying to think of what all the Nolan movies are. You have the Batman movies.
Inception, the Batman movies, Interstellar, was it Memento? Memento was one of
I
his
haven't seen
early
that one.
ones. Gosh, I mean, out of that list.
Yeah,
a
out of the
lot
ones
those,
I've seen.
I mean, I guess maybe Batman 3 or what was it called? Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
That would probably be the weakest one I could think of. And Interstellar's ending is kind of dumb, but overall, they're still all,
Yeah.
kind of a tier above your average movie-going experience, I'd say.
Inception is one of my favorite movies of all time. This movie, Tenet, looks like it has such strong Inception vibes. What I mean by that is not that they're redoing it, but the visuals are done in a way that seem so different and pleasing to where physics are moving in ways that we're not quite used to, but make sense. That don't just go, what's going on? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, Inception was doing all the flipping, obviously the big scene I
Right.
think everybody thinks of is where the whole world basically curls in on itself.
Right. And what I
doubles
mean by
and-
this is there's reasons behind the visuals.
Yeah.
Very strong reasons that provide a very interesting story, character development, and just good storytelling and a good movie overall. With Inception, it was very dreamlike, and everything that happened in the previous dream, the physics and everything affects the current one.
Mhm.
The person who's making the dream can lucidly dream
Well,
and affect the environment, but then it messes up. Everybody kind of realizes you're in a dream because it's not realistic. It's just smart.
As far as visuals go, I'd go more for Interstellar than I would Inception. You've seen Interstellar, right?
Wrong.
No, think of the
It's space,
giant,
man. It's cool. It's very well
the
done for
black
space.
hole scene where they're
It's
that.
cool.
It looks dope.
Besides the black hole scene
The
and then the
giant
wave,
is
those
dope.
are really cool. But just every
matching the speed so they can. You remember that circular scene that like feels like it goes on a long time? It's like toward the end where they're like he's trying to everything's spinning because it got stuck spinning and nothing. It's just gonna keep spinning, and so he has to try to like align it so they can redock with themselves. It was after toward the end.
Yeah, whatever.
It's cool. Matt Damon's whole planet. It's like all icy and weird and like dope looking. I'm just saying like.
No, I'm not saying they're not cool visuals, but if I had to pick,
I just had
Inception,
more to pick from Interstellar.
Like because Inception had so much. Okay, the story behind Inception affected, or I'm sorry, the visuals affected the story so much more. And this is what I mean. They're in space, and the visuals are adding to the story very, very well. It's very well done. This is marginal. But my point is that for Inception, when their van is tumbling down the hill and it's rolling, that's where you get the scene
it's
of the hallway fight where it's rotating.
Yeah.
And it's like that is playing directly into what's happening here in this next scene. That's happening simultaneously at the same time, which just adds this, oh my gosh, this visual makes so much sense and it's tying in so well. Whereas Interstellar is cool and what they're doing is adding a lot of stakes, especially the big wave and stuff like that. But when you get to the point where, you know, the thing's spinning, yeah, that's very cool. It definitely makes me more involved, but it doesn't for me.
Well,
it's more an interesting of a tie-in for Inception for me. A cool ice planet is cool, but it's like you could have had him on a different planet doing something else.
Well, I would say that
that's
like
less cool.
The use of the planet they went to, and then the time dilation thing that happens, where and then after only a few hours for Matthew McConaughey, he has to go, and it's been like 50 years,
right.
And so he has to see his like daughter, like all the tapes and stuff that she had sent him.
That's
and
not,
the emotional appeal there was. Man,
but I don't tie that into the visuals. Sure, it's the visuals of her getting older, but that's not like the spectacle visuals. I'm not saying they're not great. I'm not saying they don't tie into the story. For me, the way it ties into Inception is just done on this level that is more interesting to me.
Sure.
For me. Anyways, I don't know why we got on a whole rant of that, but I do really like his films. I am super excited for Tenet. Why I started saying that was because seeing the promotional stuff for Tenet, the visuals and how I know it is talking about manipulating time and the way that they show that, and that is going to tie so directly close to what's happening in the characters and just the way the visuals are pulled off.
I just
ties so directly to Inception.
Really hope that it's done in a way that's smart and makes sense.
Because
and
time.
Yes, time travel shit always fucks up because it's so hard to write about with it maintaining its own.
This could be
logic.
the movie that makes Christopher Nolan be like, no, because there's so many plot holes now.
In Interstellar, Nolan kind of does this weird thing where at the end it's all like, love ties the universe together, and I'm like, oh. Does it? You reach the fourth dimension through love? Okay.
Is that what it's? I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's kind of like that's how he's able to like kind of communicate, and it's very weird and vague.
I don't think it's because of love. It's just because there's
he has a whole monologue about it at the end.
But there's time, which is the fourth dimension, and he's able to go into this fourth dimension
and the fourth dimension?
Talk to her through different points of time, like pushing the book off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, time is the fourth dimension.
I guess it is.
So he pushes the book off the shelf. He goes to a different point in time, does something else, and that's the little ghost that she sees all the time.
But he's not actually going there in time. He's going there through this like weird gateway that's been set up
that represents time.
But he's not actually.
Right? I thought that's what it was.
No. But it's not because he's not actually going there. He's like manipulating it through the power of love. He's not time traveling.
Yeah, he is. He basically is time traveling. From like an omniscient point of view and doing stuff from like behind the bookshelf, which I think the bookshelf was like a weird like portal connection to that fourth dimension.
But he's manipulating things in the in the actual time they're in right then, because he's like communicating with her when she's an adult to help save what's going on the planet and all that shit.
Nah, it's like he was doing it in the past because earlier in the movie when the book falls off, you find out it was him.
Yeah,
which then you get into then you get to the
but
whole,
he's still doing it again in the
how it doesn't make sense because then there's time travel. So there is still time travel issue.
How he goes into a black hole and then all of a sudden he's able to just
manipulate time.
Do all this stuff, but only in these specific areas. Like he's only being shown this one room that has emotional significance to him, and that he has this whole monologue about love tying everything together. So it's just the ending of Interstellar is not good.
Guys, we're talking about a movie we haven't seen in a very long time. So
I watched this movie like a year and a half ago, but
I feel like we should rewatch it and do a thing about it. Maybe we'll go through a spurt of Nolan films.
Yeah, I wanted to do that eventually. Like, I mean, I don't know how long this will take, but when we kind of like maybe as in our Thursday episodes when we kind of like maybe wanted to take a break from like
Specific
franchise
series.
stuff, we would just go through like a body of work from a particular creator.
Kind of compare them and talk
Yeah,
about
like
them.
do all of Nolan's films or, something like that.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about the new movies coming out. Tenet, New Mutants. Didn't really talk about Bill and Ted's because
We don't
have
really
much to
know
say.
much about it. Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's I think Keanu even kind of soft said that he's doing it so the guy who plays Bill?
The other.
Yeah, the other, not Keanu and Bill and Ted, can get paid because obviously Keanu had this big, long, illustrious career and then the other guy didn't. So
That's depressing.
but I would do that. I mean, if I made it as a
Would you do that for me,
big-time
Nate?
actor,
Would you do that for
yeah,
me?
I'd do you a throwaway movie, get you a quick paycheck.
You're so kind.
Actually, that sounds like a lot of work. If I had Keanu's money, I'd probably just throw you a couple million. Who cares? If you got like 400 million, who cares? Here's 2. I don't feel any different about my
Now
life.
we don't have to go through making that movie.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. Now we don't have to make a third.
Well, to be fair, the people that like Bill and Ted's, he might be doing it for them too. Like, even if it's
Yeah,
not gonna be
sure.
great, nostalgic movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it for the upcoming stuff. Now, I think to wrap up, we should talk about what's upcoming a little bit more for the podcast. We talked about what's going to be happening for these Thursday episodes.
Yep.
But I am going to drop this,
Wow, knowledge bomb.
which is YouTube content. We are going to start doing.
Obviously, we're already putting all these on YouTube.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on an audio platform only, we are on YouTube. We film these now. And we want to bring some content to YouTube that's not just the podcast. Stuff that does have to do with movies, whether it's breaking down some video essays, people talking about movies, how we agree, disagree, making our own video essays, whatever that might be. And one of those things is some trivia videos, which I think is going to be super fun.
The end of every franchise, we're going to go head to head on whatever we just talked about, so whatever series that may be.
So expect Back to the Future coming
and then whenever whoever wins and does the best in the trivia will gain a trinket that we mutually buy from that movie, some piece of little memorabilia, and then that'll go on their side of the set decor.
Yeah. So as we're trying to build this set, we thought this could kind of knock out a few different things, which is, one, more content on YouTube.
Because I know you're just all dying for it.
Well, because I want to make some, because I like making videos, and it's going to be a fun way to also do the second thing, which is build up our studio and get some cool props and stuff. So, like, for example, for Back to the Future, we're thinking of getting like a little DeLorean. And, yeah, we both go 50-50 on it. So we invest the same amount, and then whoever wins, we get to keep it on our side as our little trophy. And I think it'll be
I really hope
cool.
that, like, down the road, it's very clear that, like, one of us is much better at trivia than the other. And so, like,
That's
all
what
the shit's on one side.
You're going to have everything, and then I'm going to have
Just
all
like
Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
but we're only doing one trivia. So no, I'm just kidding.
yeah, for the longer, that is another thing. For the
But
longer
like Star Wars
series,
and Marvel, we might do more stuff.
Yeah. And if those get really popular, if people really like them, because here's the thing. When we do stuff like that, like the other day that we
if
went...
it's popular, we're going to milk the shit out of it.
Well, the other day when we went live on Twitch, another plug of what we're doing.
Wow.
Every once in a while, we might go live on Twitch.
Yeah, we have no like plan for when we're gonna do that. It's just whenever the fuck we feel like it. So
Yeah, which is fun and a little more loose.
Yeah.
We did a little bit of trivia that had to do with songs and scores from movies, and I had so much fun doing that. Just having like a loose.
Did you? Because you seemed angry the whole time.
I was angry the last
'Cause I kicked your ass.
25%
Is that
of the
what
time.
I-
We're not gonna get into it because you're gonna get me all riled up, buddy. So, yeah, I want to do more stuff like that. I think it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna make some videos out of it. I really wish we could do the scores as a YouTube video.
Yeah.
But that would get taken down so quick due to
In a flash.
copyright issues. Because we did Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Pixar, all
you just
Disney.
play them off key so they sound terrible.
We could make this work. We could basically just like silence it and just put on the screen what the song is. But that's just not entertaining for the audience.
Because that would be like they had to sit there and watch for 20 seconds while I go.
It could be interesting.
Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Which one is it?
So I think trivia is a pretty good other option for that. And anyways, what I was saying is, yeah, for Marvel, Star Wars, bigger franchises, we might do multiple of those. But we might even do just some like the one-off movies if we enjoy doing them.
Yeah,
and
sure.
people enjoy watching
There's
them.
trivia for them,
like for what was for like anime. We did anime last week.
Wow, anime trivia.
We'll have a little turnip head. I know you want turnip head on your side.
I would be down for that. I would get a little turnip, or just a little Calcifer.
I would like
Flamey boy.
Calcifer. That'd
Just
be
him
dope.
like half hanging over like a little burnt log.
Yeah, we watched Howl's Moving Castle last week. First anime that we watched.
First anime movie ever.
Yes, if I had to choose, I would do Calcifer. Calcifer was my favorite character of that.
Turnip head got cucked, man.
He did.
Justice for turnip head.
This is, if we do Calcifer, that's what I want. I want a 3D.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
A little 3D model. Zoom in on me. Do it. Zoom in on me.
There it is. I don't know if you can even really tell.
There he is. Little Calcifer. Can you zoom in more?
I don't think so. No.
No. Oh.
That might be more, yeah.
There it is.
Wow.
All of you guys listening to
this
this
not worth it.
won't understand what we're talking about. But anyways, that's a lot of stuff that's upcoming for the podcast and what we want to do for these Thursday episodes, what we want to do for more YouTube content. And that's pretty much it for that. I think the last thing that we should leave them with is what we're going to be doing next week, starting with our new series.
Silence of the Lambs. Finally. Going back to that.
We're supposed to do Silence of the Lambs.
Fucking forever ago now. Before, when we did Back to the Future. No.
Yeah, I think it was just before
Was it
Back
just,
to the Future.
what was before Back to the Future?
Indiana Jones.
Was it?
Think so.
I guess so. Yeah, it must have been. Okay.
But it seemed like a long time because that was a
Yeah.
month ago.
Yeah, it's true.
Because these series take quite a while.
That's right, because we were originally, because we changed it twice. Because we were going to do that, then we were like, oh, Jurassic Park's in theaters, let's do that. And then we couldn't find that showing, so we were like, Back to the Future, okay, let's do that.
Yeah. But cool. So we're going to be doing Silence of the Lambs. I know nothing about this series.
Oh, it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be cool. Jodie
And
Foster, Anthony Hopkins.
There are a couple movies
Cry.
now that I know that Nate hasn't seen that I've seen that I want to do, so we will hopefully do some
The
of
rare
those
few.
as well. We really have the next month and a half of movies planned.
Pretty much, like
between
all
those-
the episodes, yeah, we don't have to think at all.
between those movies coming out and a couple other ones that I've got. I want to do the new Netflix movie, Project Power.
That's it, right. I don't
So,
know anything about that.
which
yeah.
is number 2, might be number 1 now.
By the
Last time
we
I
get to it,
checked,
it might not be, but
yeah,
matter.
last time I checked, it was number 2 on Netflix. But that's it,
Well,
guys.
That's it.
Shorter episode.
It was
Thank
an
you
hour.
guys for tuning in. It's short. That's half the time of our usual
I
episodes.
guess that's true. You're welcome. Or sorry. I don't know what camp you're in. Because some people are like, it's too long. And I'm hoping some people are like, it's not long enough.
I
don't
kind of
know.
want feedback from people. Not that it's really going to change anything.
Write us letters.
But
Bomb letters.
that was
That's
terrible.
a callback.
That was terrible. I said I want feedback, although I'm not going to listen.
I'm not going to change anything. I'm just curious.
No, we might format some things differently if people do think it's way.
It's really hard to go short. It's like, you'd be surprised. Because if you probably think like, God, how do they talk for 2 hours plus about some bullshit? It's hard to go short. We always go like, all right, tight 45, and then boom, way over.
We thought this was going to be 30 to 45 minutes.
And we're in an hour.
Well, here we are. And there we go. Bye-bye. Here we're going. We're ending.
This is it. This is the ending
it.
song.
Now we got to plug. If you guys are just listening to this on the on
Jesus.
any audio platform, like we've said multiple times now throughout this episode, we are on YouTube now. You can check us out on YouTube. We will have more content coming out on
Yeah, I
there.
don't feel like you have to.
But if you're listening to this on Apple Podcast, if you could give us a rating, that would be very much appreciated. Helps us out a lot with viewability. What is the word I'm looking for?
Discoverable?
Yeah, it
yeah, like
helps.
exposure?
That's the word. Helps with
There
exposure.
You go. There you go.
Apple Podcast really does.
I really want to get into one of those little categories on the browse page of Apple Podcasts where it's like TV and film and then film review and then somewhere on there. Because honestly, a lot of those aren't even that big of shows.
We can get there.
We can get there. We will get with your help.
So if you will
So
do that.
make new accounts, 5-star ratings. Make sure to leave a couple words. Just say, Nate made me do this.
I thought you
That's
said you
totally
were never
fine.
going to beg for this kind of stuff.
No, I'm begging. I'm begging right now.
Get on your hands and knees on the top of this table right now.
This table will not support me on my
I'll
hands
give
and
you
knees.
$5 if you do that.
I'm not that desperate for money.
I know, but I would have. I would have done it. And you guys can also follow That's Movies Brother at That's Movies Brother on Instagram.
Wow.
You can follow me at That's Movies Brother on Instagram. And you can also follow me, Tyler Gillette, on YouTube. That is my own YouTube channel. And follow Nate.
This is your normal plug bit where you try to think of something clever to follow me at.
Well,
Go
every
ahead.
time I say follow Nate,
Mhm.
I'm now recently just kind of waiting to see, like, is he going to plug something?
You would know. I think we would talk before. I wouldn't just drop a bomb right here and say, yeah.
There's way too much bomb talk on here, and I feel like we're going to get flagged.
Is a bomb a bad word? Can you not say bomb on YouTube? Does that get flagged?
I don't know. I guess we're about to find out.
I don't think we get enough views to be cared about. We can post anything we wanted.
Let's not get on that train of thought to just post
Anything.
anything that we want.
Okay, are we done?
Until then, we will see you on Monday, talking about, I don't know, whatever one of those movies
Probably
we
the
can
New
get to.
Mutants. That's probably the only one because we won't be able to see Tenet yet, and then this one comes out this weekend, so it feels like the most right thing. Unless we just don't get to it, and then maybe that Netflix one.
That's been movies, brother.
Yeah, we can end this now.
See you later.